Welcome to Rotary. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules. Not kicking me out of the club for the last few meetings I've missed. I might be setting a record, Tracy, for the president that, okay, all right. Been up on the Hill the last few Tuesdays. Okay, all right. The joke, I think Scott sees some of these emails too, that's with us from Spanish Fork City, but the League of Cities and Towns director sends out an update every few days of what's going on the Hill during the session, and he always has he always ends his email with only 27 days to go or something. So it's kind of funny that we're counting down the days of the legislature as soon as it starts, but that's where I've been busy for the last few meetings. So you'll see some things. I'll share it with you when they get cut and come out. But we had a few good things happen on the Hill with local officials day at the legislature, with all of the youth city council coming up to Capitol Hill to kick off the session, and some really cool things happening around that time. And then I've interviewed about half of the candidates for governor for the League of Cities and Towns as well. So we'll share those to Travis, and he can share them out. But do the other half next week, and some really talented field of candidates to replace Governor Herbert. So pretty neat stuff. Excited to. I'll turn it over to Tracy first, and then I'll introduce Scott. Is that all right? Tracy has some great news.
So this is actually Julianne's announcement, but since she's busy doing taxes, Rich has helped us reapply our grant so that we could apply it to the All Abilities Park, and it was approved this week. So we have $1,000 that we can donate to the All Abilities Park from our Rotary Club as our district grant. So.
Hey, Mike, I got an announcement too.
Oh, perfect. Come on.
Exciting news on the youth exchange front. We got all of the country assignments, and so the student that will be going out from Spanish Fork Rotary Club is going to be going to Brazil.
Wow.
So, yeah, nice. Very exciting.
Where?
We don't know exactly where yet, or when, or any of the fine details. Just know that he'll be going to. Yeah, he'll be in South Korea. So I haven't got anybody who's jumped on it yet, but if you know of anybody, refer them to me.
Right?
Yeah, Salem High School.
Very cool. That's great. Well, city council meeting tonight as well. So if you want to fall asleep about 6 o'clock, turn on channel 17. And you'll hear us talking about the updates of the city, what's going on for the next couple of weeks. Really excited to have Scott Aylett here, our public information officer for the city, to talk to us a little bit about the All Abilities Park and give us a progress update on it. Very timely with the donation that Rotary's going to provide to the park, but really excited. I can tell you from a city council and mayor's perspective of the awesome blessing that this will be to the community, to the whole area. Too often I look at things in an economic activity lens and in all different aspects of it, but this is a lot more than that. But it will bring a whole lot of people from outside our community to a specific place in our community, in our city as well. Lana could probably tell us more from a school district standpoint of how heavily these are used in the school district. So Scott has been with the city, I don't know, a few years now, Scott. 2 years. 2 years, hailed from Zion's public finance before that. Yep. Wow, he came from the dark side over to the light side. But he's been awesome to have as the city. The first 4 years of being city council person and just trying to manage all the different outreaches to the public. Was always a tough thing. Scott has stepped into that role as an awesome asset to the city and helps us communicate clearly and concisely to residents. So we're honored to have him here today at Rotary, and give him a round of applause for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back here with you today. And first and foremost, thank you for the donation. this park certainly would not be possible without donations from organizations and families like you. And that's really what spurred the progress of this park for a number of years. And Mike can attest to this. The mayor, city council, and staff have heard from residents, we need something that everyone can enjoy in terms of a park, being an all abilities park. And one idea that they had with the passing of the RAP tax was that perhaps we take some of those funds and save them for a number of years and put that towards an all abilities park. That was all expedited one, I think, September afternoon when a local family reached out to the city and said, we love this community so much, we want to give back. Here's a check that needs to go towards this new all abilities park. There were some stipulations given to the city through that donation. The most significant, I think, of which was that the park needed to be completed before Fiesta Days 2020. So we are working really hard. We've been working really hard since September to get this going on, and we are excited that dirt is starting to move. If you've driven past the site, which I'll pull up the map, the site is just off of Canyon Road at about 1225 East. So here's Canyon Road. So the city has acquired not this home here, and then we have a power substation here. There's a dog park here. So it's just over 10 acres, 10 acres, excuse me, I think close to about 11 actually, that, oh, sorry, we'll turn that light on, that will be the home of the park. In the design process, when we first started designing the park, we met with probably 20 to 30 families from the community who have children that have some type of special need. And we met with them and said, what are the challenges that you face when you take your son or your daughter to a park? What are some of the amenities that you have found in other parks to be especially helpful for you and your family? We took those into consideration. We had kind of this long list of all these different amenities that they found, and we're happy that all but maybe 2 or 3 of those items have made it into the design. And those 2 to 3 items that didn't make it in, we're still trying to find a way to incorporate those. So we met with those families again last week and showed them the design and said, did we get it right? Are we missing anything? And hopefully we're not, because we're getting really close to construction time. But we received great feedback from them last week, and it was really touching to see some of these families recognize, oh my gosh, that slide is going to be perfect for my son who has a cochlear implant. He can't go down a plastic slide because of the static. It affects his implant. So by having a metal slide that's shaded, that's perfect for my son or daughter. Or a bunch of other circumstances that we saw. It was really touching to see those. We also met with the residents adjacent to the park to show them the park design so that they could anticipate what their new backyard neighbor was going to look like. So to my knowledge, you are the third kind of public group that we've shown these plans to, and we are going to do a Facebook Live tomorrow afternoon and release these publicly. So here's kind of an aerial shot of what the park will look like. And we'll go into some greater detail on some of the amenities, but here's Canyon Road. We purposely designed the parking lot to try and deter individuals from using this as a shortcut. One thing that we heard a lot from the families, especially those who have children with autism, that they really like to run, and sometimes they can be hard to keep track of. So the families requested that there only be one entrance into the park and that the park be fenced. So there's a 6-foot masonry wall that goes around the entire perimeter of the park. And then the one entrance into the park is here, and it is surrounded by a metal wrought iron fence. So if your kid gets lost, there's only one way or out to find them. So that was really helpful. Kind of a brief overview. This is a sensory garden that's got some musical aspects and touch and feel and things like that. Lots of trees. This is, I think they call it the Great Tree House, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that's going to include. All of these canopied areas, I think over here we've got some zip lines, we've got a bunch of swings and slides, some more slides down under here. I think slides and other playground equipment here. This is a big water feature that has a mountain with a waterfall that trickles down with kind of a little stream that's only 2 inches deep that comes down here to a splash pad right here. We've got a pavilion here, a couple other pavilions around the park as well. This just shows you what it looks like once you take out those shaded canopies, and that was one big concern, is we want there to be enough shade. There's not going to be a lot of mature trees at the beginning of the park to provide shade, and so what shade structures can we have? So, that the park is still heavily usable throughout the summertime when it's hot. So here's kind of a view of the park from the entrance. This is a portion of the Sensory Garden. It's kind of a mini orchestra, so they've got like a xylophone and some drums and other things that the kids can play with that have some more of those sensory needs. The entire park is ADA accessible. There's no bark or wood chips or anything like that. Most of it's kind of a specialized material that wheelchairs can still access and go on. This is a special swing for wheelchairs that will have gated access, so individuals who, say, take a class or a specific training on how to use the swing will receive like an access code or a key so that they can get in and use the special swing for wheelchairs, just so that, you know, the general public and kids aren't playing on this swing. And that comes in from Australia. That's a special ordered item. So this is what they call the incredible tree. The top of the tree up here, I think they said was about 24 feet. And this entire structure up until about here is fully accessible to wheelchairs. The diameter of the tree house, the tree that it's situated on, the diameter is 12 feet. And in the middle of that tree house, there's going to be a spiral staircase that will go all the way to the top. And there are a number of slides that come off in different directions. And again, it's all abilities, right? So you might see this boy playing on this thing that spins around and think, well, my son in a wheelchair can't play in that. But we want to have amenities that work for everyone of all abilities, right? And that's why it's an all abilities park. The grade for the structure is at a really slight grade so that you can push a wheelchair up and down and not have many concerns there. And then the top of the treehouse, again, I think I said it was 24 feet, and the slide, I think they said, is about 16 feet long. Just a ton of awesome structures that will be part of this incredible tree. One in particular that we are really excited about is this metal slide. Again, I had commented on the cochlear implants. Another thing that they've implemented on this slide is they call it a dignity bench. So let's say you've got a son that's in a wheelchair and you push him all the way up in his wheelchair, all the way over to here, you get him on the slide, help him get down the slide. Now you've got to walk all the way around, get down to help him get off the slide. Meanwhile, well-meaning kids that want to go down the slide as well might be waiting in line and getting frustrated or saying things, and Johnny at the bottom of the slide is feeling a little embarrassed that he's waiting for mom to come help him get off the slide. So what they've implemented is a bench at the end of the slide where the individual, Johnny in this case, can scoot off to the side and wait for his mom to come get him. And maybe he's giving high fives to other kids as they come down the slide, or he's encouraging them and things like that. So he doesn't have to feel embarrassed waiting at the bottom of the slide for mom and dad to come help him get back into his wheelchair. He can still participate with the other kids. And so we're really excited. Just those kind of fine touches throughout the park that really do help the dignity and the self-esteem of these kids that typically don't get to play and be active at a park like this. So again, this is kind of a wheelchair accessible teeter-totter type structure. Again, you can see all the access is accessible for wheelchairs and ADA accessible. We've got a number of different swings that will be situated throughout the park for individuals of different needs. And we talk a lot about the needs of the children, right? But this park, again, is for people of all abilities, and even parents. Say, I'm in a wheelchair and I want to go to the park and play with my kids. We take that into consideration as well, making it accessible for parents who have special needs so that they can still play and be active with their kids at the park. This is kind of the premier pavilion that we have, that we've replicated the bell tower from the city office building on top. And this pavilion will be rentable for private functions, family parties, things like that. There will be some power outlets that you can plug in a slow cooker or something like that to keep your food warm. Here's the zip lines. There will be 3 different zip lines. One of them I think will be faceted with a specific chair for individuals with special needs. A couple different natural play areas and different amenities there. Some monkey bars and spider's web, you know, some of those typical things that you see at parks. Here's the splash pad that's kind of the end of that water feature that runs through kind of the back part of the park. And it's all, I guess you say that 0 depth, right? It's 2 inches of water. And it's shallow enough that you could push a wheelchair through it, or other individuals maybe on crutches. It's not deep enough where they're getting all wet and whatnot. They can still kind of traverse the pond and the stream. So this is a mountain structure. I think the top of this is 28, maybe 30 feet. And the water feature runs down, and there's kind of a grotto back here that we'll show you here in a little bit. We've got steps that run up here, and then on this back side, it's a really gradual slope that goes up, so individuals, again, in wheelchairs can access that. There are a couple different lookout spots from the top of this mountain structure with some vegetation and whatnot, so you could stand up here and overlook the rest of the park. We've got kind of this gold mine, and they're wanting to incorporate some different gems and rocks and things like that, maybe have kind of a scavenger hunt type thing within the park where you can look for different types of rocks and things within the gold mine and in different locations. And this will be internally lit, and security cameras and things of that nature to help improve and maintain the security of the park. We have been having some conversations as to whether or not the parking lot gets locked at night, but there will be cameras and lights throughout the parking lot. One of the concerns that we had from residents was, you know, will there be lights on the parking lot 24 hours a day shining in my backyard? And they're going to use really directional lighting that's shining down and not so much out, and automatic dimmers that will be motion activated. So in the evening, if they're not being activated by motion, the lights will dim, and then once they're activated, they'll light up again, so that they're not kind of these blaring lights throughout the evening. So what I'll do is I have a video that kind of runs through all these features as well, and we can just kind of talk and answer any questions that you guys might have. we get asked, what impact will this have on the community and why is this so important? And if you had the pleasure of meeting with any of the families, you learn really quick the impact that this will have on these individuals who have kids that in one way or another are just like our kids or our grandkids, but have some special needs. And to have a place in the community where they can take these kids, their kids, to play and play with their friends and play like all the other kids, what a wonderful asset that is, not only for Spanish Fork City, but for the region. We anticipate that this will be a regional park where individuals from other communities are coming to recreate in Spanish Fork because we have our own Thunder Junction, right, like they have in St. George. And so, it was really eye-opening to meet with some of these families last week and just see their eyes glowing as they saw that is the perfect amenity for my son or my daughter because of their special needs. So that's really the impact that it's going to have on the community, putting those kids together with other kids to play. So anyway, thank you so much for your time. Really great and thoughtful questions, and we really appreciate it. And we're working hard to get this open by Fiesta Days, so we certainly hope that that's the case and that you all can come recreate there. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you.